Hey everyone. The GM for the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles, he said something pretty consistently throughout this process. We may be looking at the decision at quarterback going all the way up to the draft in April. It's an agonizing wait, right? As a fan, I simply can't remember an offseason like this. There's so many pivots, so many uncertainties, so much waiting. The only thing that's becoming clear, if the Bears are in fact trading Justin Fields and drafting Caleb Williams, the window on getting top value for our QB1, it's going to close up way faster than anyone thinks. Why? The NFL league year and free agency, the signing period starts on March 13th. That's the beginning of the league year as well. This is when teams that are needy at quarterback, they can sign their starters or bridge quarterbacks, and waiting past this date to make Fields available. Relax, everyone. If this is what they're doing, it just isn't a great idea if we want to get full value. Waiting past this, that allows free agent competition to choke out his top market price. It's got to be done immediately at this time to get max value, because once again, this is when the trade period opens up as well. We simply don't want the competition and teams filling their quarterback spot with a new starter or a bridge guy when Fields, he would be a more attractive get. Teams wanting him, they may not want to wait until draft day to trade for Fields or even have a definite plan. They want to plan ahead of time. So, really, in my opinion, if Fields isn't traded near this day in mid March, then the likelihood that we're keeping him rises exponentially. We really may only have a month to wait and not all the way to the draft. So that means the timeline for clarity is essentially cut in half, and maybe that would help some of us sleep at night. I'm going to go to this sportsmockery.com story. Guys, these guys are such a great source. They do such a good job. Please support them. I always want to give credit where credit is due, and it goes a long way here. So Adam Scheffler, he's a strong voice for good reason, right? He's proven quite reliable, not foolproof, but reliable. And he recently spent some time on Wade and Sylvie on ESPN 1000. Of course, this was the topic, and he never disappoints. So let's get into it. Shefty believes there'll be multiple teams interested in a strong enough market that the Bears will definitely get a second round pick at minimum, and likely there's a chance that a first rounder would be the final asking price for Justin Fields. He's saying that word around the league is that the Bears are in fact going the Caleb route and trading Fields. He believes that this is the scenario that's going to happen. And this has also been the skinny coming out of the Senior Bowl, coming out of the East-West game, everything. Everybody seems to be saying this is what's happening. Now, I'm going to push back on this just a tiny bit. I mean, the Bears front office, they've been a very tight ship, right? And they're committed to staying that way, to the point of firing Cliff Stein, an employee of 23 years in the area of cap management and contract negotiation. But honestly, I think his real job eventually devolved into just being a close confidant to Ted Phillips and being another fellow lawyer running a football team. This was due to what seemed to be him being a source of leaks to the media, and that's Cliff Stein. Remember how upset Greg Gabriel got when his source disappeared? It was crazy. What he posted online was crazy. Not a good look. You can go back and see for yourself Gabriel's nonsense post following that. It uses lots of profanity. I'm not going to give it any more attention than that. But though, I just lost a lot of respect for Gabriel, and I'm just going to move on. Anyways, the important part of this team is committed to secrecy, and Ryan Poles' strategy, it depends on it. And with this firing, team president Warren, he's showing unwavering support in this, unwavering support for keeping a tight ship. And it's just so great, people. It's so great to have a united front office. This is what good teams experience. We finally get to experience it as well. So I don't think anyone truly knows outside of Hallis Hall right now. But Schefter, he can only go by consensus opinion of guys in the league that he trusts. I think that's what this is based on. Just my personal opinion. I don't think it's based on any real knowledge. Anyways, he's in agreement with Tom Pelissero as well, believing that a first will quite likely be the final deal price. So we can debate this, if we should do it or not, if it's going to happen, whatever. But for the sake of this discussion, we have to have a rational discussion. We have to have a baseline. Let's assume a first is what he goes for in this scenario. So what are the factors at play? What is the Bears' evaluation of other quarterbacks in the draft? We can talk about Daniels. We can talk about Mays. We can talk about Nix. We can talk about Penix Jr. We can just keep going. But in the end, if they're doing this, please just go the Caleb direction. I personally think they should stay with Fields. I've been very clear about that. I've been solid on that, but let's keep going. So let's look at something else. And I'm going to go to actually Tankathon here. Give me a second. I'm my own producer. So, yeah. So who are the free agents available? We got Kirk Cousins. We got Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, most likely, Ryan Tannehill, Gardner Minshew, Jake Browning. He performed incredibly well in relief of Burrow. I'm just saying he's probably going to be a starter somewhere, most likely, if the Bengals let him go. The names up top, they're going to be attractive to teams, and there are some great bridge choices as well. And once again, the NFL league year and free agency signing period starts on March 13th. Next thing, roughly 8 teams. They're looking at possibly doing something different at quarterback, some more definite than others. So we've got who we got here: Washington, the Patriots, Minnesota, the Giants, Atlanta, Vegas, the Steelers, Tennessee, probably Tampa. Let's try to narrow them down a little bit. Washington and New England, they likely aren't in the market for Fields, not for a first rounder. Let's just cross them out for sake of this discussion. I think the Vikings, they'll pursue Cousins again. Likely, they might likely grab like an available bridge quarterback if he isn't ready to start the season. So let's move away from them. Vegas. They hired Getsy, offensive coordinator. I can't believe it. And I think a reunion with Fields is doubtful. Check them off. Also, when it comes to Tampa Bay, I cannot believe they won't pursue Mayfield. It's just got to go. I just got to go with my gut feeling here. He's really bonded with the team and the fan base. Let's cross those off. So many sites agree. Sports Mockery is one of them. I think the most likely landing spots are Atlanta and Pittsburgh. If this is the route Chicago chooses to get rid of Fields, let's narrow it down to these two in order to have a focused discussion. Atlanta, they have the number 8 pick. Pittsburgh has the 20th. New York and Tennessee have quarterback needs, but I think really at 6 and 7, there might still be some attractive options at quarterback if they choose to go that way. I mean, I could see them maybe getting weird and grabbing Penix or McCarthy there. You might think I'm crazy, but every single year, at least one team does something unexpected. I mean, it happens. Atlanta, they're a different animal here because I think they're just in a specific situation that other teams aren't in. So let's chop that up. Let's look at the connections. Ryan Pace, he's there now. He actually drafted Fields. He loves Fields. And also Fields is from Georgia. And their higher draft pick as well at 8. That would entice Chicago big time. It's like the perfect scenario. So imagine an offense of Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, now Justin Fields. Wildly entertaining, right? The Falcons aren't necessarily the best team in the NFL, but with how lackluster the NFC South performed last year, nothing is saying an average team couldn't win that division next season. And if we think about team owner Arthur Blank, he probably thinks that he's close. He also has a good defense. He might think that he's just a quarterback away from actually contending for a Super Bowl. And also he's in his 80s now. There could be some panic. There could be some movement in the direction of, hey, I want to make and win a Super Bowl while I'm still alive. Let's put all my chips in the middle of the table. But I don't think that argument completely holds weight. I mean, Virginia, our owner, she's 101. So I think the panic might go both ways. So anyways, get back on target. If the Chicago Bears trade Justin Fields, the Atlanta Falcons, they're my top trade destination. It seems as though it's the best position for a quarterback like Justin Fields to thrive outside of Chicago. Like I said, their weapons are everywhere, and they complement the way Justin Fields plays quarterback. They just complement it. This not only makes the most sense, but it's most likely the horror story that we all fear as Bears fans, right? We give up on Fields, and he absolutely breaks the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, that'd be so typical, right? I'm already getting nervous just thinking about it, but I want to keep him on our team. But if we trade him, this is the most likely outcome. You got to also keep Pittsburgh in the convo. Let's look at that. Pittsburgh is just, they're at a spot of number 20 that that might be just attractive enough to them, and by them, by that by boy, I can't talk. By that time, if you look at the draft, by pick 20, most of the quarterbacks that could be immediately starters, they could be off the board at that point, so they might be out of options. Also, they are absolutely fed up with their musical chairs at quarterback, and they might actually be ready to take a big swing. I think it's very possible. So, what I'm saying, if Chicago wants max value for him, if they're going this route, waiting until the draft, that could be considered foolish. And Poles, he likes to execute his plan expediently. Look at how early he traded the number 1 last year to Carolina. The deal he pulled for the first was earlier than ever expected for that type of trade. It was almost unprecedented. I think a move on Fields would be no different. Also, Atlanta, right? They're hugely in need for a quarterback. And if they aren't interested in Fields and we're not interested in trading him, they would still be an ideal candidate to go after our number 1 for Caleb. And we can get the draft haul we're looking for ideally, and also not dropping completely out of the top 10. So it's like a win-win scenario either way that Chicago decides to go. And I think a trade with Atlanta would give us that amazingly huge haul for trading a little further back that we're looking for. Otherwise, let's keep Fields. Let's do a lower level trade. The possibilities are endless. Watch my other videos over this week. I went through most of the teams that we could trade with, and I just always want to know what you think. Let me know about this specific course of action, this specific trade with Atlanta, and know that I'm not necessarily someone that's pro getting rid of Fields. I'd just be remiss if I didn't present it as a possibility. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your support. It means more than you could ever know, and bear down. We will enjoy this offseason. See ya.